send the troops home.
In December 2005, you voted to make the Patriot Act permanent. It authorizes indefinite detentions, sneak and peek searches in which law enforcement officers can search a home or business without the owner's knowledge or consent, the expanded use of national security letters which allow the FBI to search telephone, email, and financial records without a court order. Several courts have ruled many provisions are unconstitutional. Do you feel this bill is a step toward eroding our constitutional civil liberties?
I obviously didn't feel that way, or I wouldn't have voted for the act to begin with. I think, again, we're walking a fine line in a lot of cases here. We have radical terrorists who want to kill us. What we have to do, what our government has to do, is keep us a free country. And one of the ways they're doing that is by trying to track down the terrorists. The Patriot Act is aimed at those terrorists. It is not aimed at average Americans who are going about their business every day and minding their own business. To my knowledge, not a single American has ever had their home invaded or their emails read or their mail read or anything done that would threaten their civil liberties. Not one person has come forward to say that's happened to them. So I don't think the government has abused the Patriot Act. If we ever found out that there was abuse occurring, you would find me, who's very conservative, along with a lot of other folks who are very liberal, making sure that our government is not taking away civil liberties. But what I want to say over and over again, we've got to maintain our freedoms. And I don't want to give up civil liberties to do that, but I'm not interested in protecting the civil liberties of terrorists. And that's what I think the liberals want to do. They want to protect their civil liberties. They, in fact, want to give to non-citizens all the constitutional rights of our citizens. And that's wrong. So what we need to do is make sure we don't go over the line.
We have an email here. I'll just read it to you.
Okay.
This is from Jim. I don't think it's fair that the GI Bill runs out for any member of the military. I am a member of the United States Air Force Reserves and have been for 19 years and plan on staying in for about 4 more years. It seems to me that a benefit of any job, civilian or military, should remain in effect as long as you are still a member. How is it any different than, say, a person working for Duke Energy and after 16 years they are no longer eligible for health insurance?
Well, I will tell you that we've been doing a lot to improve the GI Bill in this session of Congress. I'm on some bills that, for example, will allow unused benefits to be used by a daughter or son or wife. I don't know the exact details of what he's talking about, but I will certainly look into it and get back to you. But I believe that we need to extend benefits to anybody who's willing to serve in the military, risk their lives for this country. And I'm very keen on making sure that we give good benefits, not only to the active military, but to our veterans.
But
so
there shouldn't be a statute of
no,
limitations.
there shouldn't be, but I don't know exactly how those work. And as I said, I know we're changing some things, for example, to allow a close member of the veteran to utilize the GI Bill for educational purposes. And I just need to look into that because I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
We're here today with Virginia Foxx, a Congresswoman from the 5th District. I want to thank you again for joining us. Section 8 of the Constitution says that Congress shall coin and regulate the value thereof. But in 1913, these powers were given to the Federal Reserve System, which is a private cartel of bankers. One of your colleagues, Congressman Ron Paul, has been a firm proponent and highly outspoken on eliminating the Fed. Would the country be better off if the Fed were abolished and the power to coin and regulate our money supply given back to we the people, back to the Congress?
Well, first of all, let me say I have a lot of admiration for Ron Paul. We do serve together, And Ron is as strong a person on the Constitution as anybody you will ever find, and perhaps anybody who's ever been in the Congress. And I learn a lot from Ron. I spend time talking to him and listening to him. I don't agree with him all the time, but I do like Ron, and I think he is a very, very thoughtful member of Congress. When I think about this, I'm not an expert on monetary system, I'll tell you that, and on the economic system. But when I think about turning this back to the Congress, it gives shivers up my spine because we have 435 people, a large number of whom cannot even keep a secret. It's just not a good system many times to have Congress dealing with things. And I think while we may not like what the Federal Reserve has done, and we may want to reconsider how that system operates, turning everything back to the Congress may not be the best thing that we do. I'll point out again, for people who are against the war, for example, Congress voted to go to war. Congress is not infallible. We, the people, I point out to students, and I point out to you, I say those are the three most important words that were written outside the Bible, because it does give power to the people. But when you look at the ability to turn members of Congress out if they're not doing the right thing, you realize that the people don't always have the control over the members of Congress that we think we have. And so I'm not sure that giving that control back to the Congress is going to solve all of the problems. Think about all the mistakes Congress makes. Again, I just got, in fact, the history of the Federal Reserve, and I've only been able to read a few pages of it, but the idea behind it was to set up non-partisan people to be in charge of our monetary system. Think about what you could have in terms of how the Congress can change hands. For example, Democrats were in control of the Congress for 40 years. Most people think that that's what has gotten us into this economic situation we're in. Republicans came in for 12 years, and for the first 6 years, I think, did a very good job of controlling spending, lowering taxes, and doing a lot of things. But they got off message and started spending more. Now we've got a Democratic Congress, which is not spending like drunken sailors, because drunken sailors spend their own money. These members of Congress are spending yours and my money. And so I'm very concerned that you would make this a partisan issue where when you did have a lot of liberals in control, no telling what they would do. I think, again, part of the problem we're facing is that people who look long-term about the economy are seeing the commitments the House of Representatives is making in terms of the spending. Again, the $683 billion tax increase is going to devastate our economy. That's having an impact on what's happening. So I think there may be a better system than the Federal Reserve, and perhaps we should look at that, but I'm not sure giving it back to Congress is the way to go.
Yesterday, I received my letter from the Department of Treasury detailing the President's economic stimulus package. Do you feel, as I do, that this letter, which cost the taxpayers of this country $40 million, was a complete waste of resources?